Neil, I got your book. I have to bring it. I'll get it to you. Fascinating story.
So we wanted you to try something else tonight. This is our experiment.
That because they cut me so small before, that is.
Oh, yeah,
We want to know if you like that or don't like that.
well, the fact that
Mhm.
the script's in the middle,
Mhm.
I could barely see the print yesterday.
you know, magnifying glasses, isn't it?
Neither of us could see the print.
Right. So
Thank you.
that-
I just appreciate that you're trying to help me see. You don't need. me.
Okay. So, is anybody attending? Do we have anybody in the waiting room or? do
We
have
certainly
more?
do. We have
John Carl.
John Carl McGrady. We have 2 iPads and hopefully Mark will join,
So we'll keep an eye on that.
but I will keep an eye on that.
Okay. We're using Zoom webinar for this meeting, which allows the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request that members of the public provide their names for purposes of keeping accurate minutes of the meeting. Attendees will join in listening mode, and we ask that everyone display their names correctly. Attendees can click the raise hand button if they wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in the order they are raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to share screen with your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. I would like to call to order the Nantucket Land Bank Commission regular meeting of October 14th, 2025 at 4:01. And we're gonna convene an open session. Do I have a motion to accept the
moved.
agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have any public comment or staff announcements?
Okay, so, I do have a few staff announcements.
Okay.
There was a very, wet half marathon this weekend that I think a lot of people really enjoyed. The other thing I wanted to let you know was that, we have a very popular scalloping area down on Quays Road. And so we've had a lot of people going there, and it's caused a bit of a parking issue where sometimes the road isn't available for emergency access. So we've been managing this issue, but I just wanted to bring it to the commission's attention. It just so happens that, you know, the best scalloping on the island is currently right in front of 27 Quays Road. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it and work with the neighbors to make sure that access is available. So, 2 other small updates. One is that Dana, our outreach coordinator, is participating in the Coast to Coast Senior Walks. There's a walk, that's where you walk a section of the Coast to Coast Trail every Thursday with Neil Foley from the Nantucket Conservation Foundation. We've done this historically and it was collaborative, and so we're starting it up again. It's an incredibly popular walk series throughout the winter, and the best way to sign up is to email Neil Foley at the Conservation Foundation, and it's often full, but he does have a wait list and spots do turn over. So my last update is that there is a Harbor Health Symposium on Saturday, October 18th at the Great Harbor Yacht Club. And it is going to focus on the global importance of seagrass conservation. And if you have any interest, it's a free community event, open to all, and you can register on the Great Harbor Foundation's website. Great, thanks.
Okay, moving right into agricultural management, the deer processing unit update.
Okay, I am going to, before I start, I'm going to promote Mark to panelist, or attempt to promote Mark to a panelist. I think eventually Mark will become a panelist.
We learn to talk in the meantime.
Well, we maybe have to allow him to talk before I make him a panelist. Hi, Mark. Can you hear us okay?
I definitely can. For some reason, I don't have options for mute or zoom in, but I'm here if you can see me.
Fantastic. And I think we have you as a panelist, so we're good to go. Thank you, Mark, for joining tonight.
And Mark, just to let you know, we can't see you, so feel free to just speak up if you have something you want to say.
Okay, I do have the raise a hand thing on the screen. I don't know why the others are not there, so.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to open the PowerPoint presentation. Emily, it would be fabulous if you would come join me for this update. Yep. It's okay. We'll put together a fabulous PowerPoint presentation. I will make sure to share. And this is in regards to the venison processing project that the land bank has been working on putting together. We continue to have staff work on this project, and there's a number of things that have come together in the last few weeks, and we wanted to update you and ask for a vote to continue to move forward. So I can jump in, and I'm gonna have Emily chime in as we go. So right now, we've terminated the venison processing project, and it's really focused on the Mass Wildlife Hunter Share the Harvest program this year for the 2025-26 season. These are some of the motivations and call to action, right? So this is why we're doing this. We have a very high deer population, and these all kind of fit together. We have food insecurity on Nantucket. We have ecological, agricultural, and public health impacts due to, a high deer population. And this can also be an abundant source of healthy protein for the community. So the Share the Harvest program is interesting, and Emily's outlined this really well, and that there's really 4 problems here and 4 solutions that the Share the Harvest program facilitates. And the 4 problems are shown here in pink or peach, and then the 4 solutions are in green. And this is how they all interrelate. So basically, to start with the problems, we have a deer herd management issue on the island. We also know that wild game cannot be sold commercially on the island. We have food insecure people who need access to healthy and safe protein sources. And we have a decrease in hunters and an increase in the hunter population. So some of the different ways that we can go about working towards solutions is we can increase hunter capacity, we can facilitate increased hunting, allow hunters to donate extra deer beyond whatever they need for their families or friends. And mostly we can facilitate the state overseeing processing by engaging in the Share the Harvest program. And this is what Martin Feehan was talking about the last time he was on island at the land bank meeting. He was talking about deer damage permits and the Share the Harvest program.
Rachel, that's him on the left, right?
This is Martin Feehan and Sharing the Harvest. So, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it. I think that is one of the first deliveries to Daniel's Table in Framingham, which is one of their major distribution sites of the venison from the Share the Harvest in its first year or 2.
You know how many years it's been going on?
I think this will be the 3rd. And this is the year that the program really has hit maturity. So he's very happy.
It's probably the perfect time to join. So the Share the Harvest program has participating venison processors throughout the state. They're shown here with stars. So one thing you'll obviously see is that there's no approved processors on Nantucket. And this is challenging because it really is required to have hunters be able to increase capacity. It is, we need to have a participating processor or a processing facility in order to engage in any sort of deer damage permit and to encourage people to continue to hunt, right? We have to be able to process the meat. And so really the Share the Harvest program offers beneficial outcomes to all because again, going back to what we were just talking about, these solutions, you know, there's potential community benefit from increased hunting, which, you know, can be a great local activity. It is also, there's hunters who enjoy it.
Sure they do.
So it can be a activity that people enjoy and is a form of outdoor recreation. It can resolve food insecurity and it could help us with our deer overpopulation issues. So there's a lot of different beneficial outcomes. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
I can just keep listing beneficial outcomes, but
We have lots.
One question, does the state pay you money to harvest the deer? And how much is it if that's not?
it pays money to process the
Yes.
deer.
For the
Process.
processing fee, so the person who is the processor gets the fee.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the
not
person,
hunter.
yes,
Okay.
not the hunter. So this is the process, right? So the hunter shoots and field dresses the deer, brings it to a processing facility. And we're laying this out as if there was a processing facility on Nantucket, right? So they bring it to a processing facility on Nantucket. The processor is then responsible for the primary processing and tracking, which is incredibly important. Basically, there's documentation of this because it's food, so you have to know what deer it came from and where it goes all through the process and where it ends up in the end. So it has to be pretty extensively and tightly tracked. The secondary processing is really the butchering and the packaging and the labeling and then freezing before it gets distributed. So there's really two stages. On Nantucket, the distributors right now could be Nantucket Food Pantry and Nourish Nantucket, but there are potential for others. I just don't know what those are. So who knows? So the reason that we brought this to the commission tonight is because we wanted to discuss the potential budget for setting up a processing facility. And really there's two components of that. One is the equipment and one is the staff, right? Because this is new to the land bank, we're not exactly sure how much it's going to get used over the course of the first season. But we will still need basic equipment such as, an outdoor processing setup, which is basically a tent and a walk-in cooler to do the primary processing outside of any sort of building. Some kitchen equipment and supplies, which function to be that secondary processing and packaging piece. And then daily waste collection, which is always going to be important. Although these deer are field dressed when they come in, there's still going to be things that need to be disposed of on a daily basis. So because this is really a rough estimate, we've explored approximately $50,000. We've put a number at about $50,000. It's not clear if that's going to be exactly accurate, but it's a great place to start.
And I will say we're still waiting for more information on that waste collection, so
Yeah.
that's a bit of it.
This might be the
Yes.
number that changes the most going forward. In terms of staff, we've thought about a lot of different ways of staffing a processing facility and finally decided that for this first year, it probably makes the most sense for them to be seasonally employed by the land bank. Ultimately going forward, it could look like somebody has an LLC, right? And we contract with them. But for this year, seasonal employees would allow us more oversight and it also avoids some potential procurement issues surrounding contracting with different groups as goods and services. So we're looking at hiring a full-time venison processing manager and then maybe 3 to 4 venison processors that would be scheduled as needed. One of the goals that we're looking for tonight is approval for this budget, but we're also looking for approval to post the advertisements for these positions because faster we're able to get people seasonally on staff, the quicker we can get this up and running. So that's definitely something we'll be looking for at the end of this presentation.
I'd like to see the budget increased.
Okay,
I don't, if you have to come back,
right,
it's gonna be a pain in the neck.
okay,
You don't have to spend the money.
yeah, that's true.
I'd
Okay,
like to see it increased
I would
just in
agree.
case you need.
okay, well, maybe you should think about that while we're sitting here.
While we finish the presentation.
I've got 3 more slides. Let me know if you have a number. That's what I was thinking too. Okay, so here's some of the different partnerships that could be involved in this type of processing, / deer harvesting initiative. And so this is actually where Neil talks about Mass Wildlife pays processors. And in this case, it would be Land Bank, right? $250 in season and $350 if you're outside of the hunting season and you're in a deer damage permit. Again, I just want to emphasize that in order to have a deer damage permit on Land Bank property, which we would have to apply for, we have to create a processing facility first. So that's step 2. And then the processor payments are supported through federal grants, and then it just kind of outlines how these different organizations support this initiative. This goes back to our co-benefits and all the ways that this benefits the island and the community, and how we feel like it could grow over time. This would definitely be a place we could explore, and we have explored, looking into, could this be used for poultry processing? Even more challenging is working towards USDA certification, but we're certainly happy to look into that and do our best to make that happen. There's really an opportunity for farmers too, if there's extra space and time in the commercial kitchen. So we feel like there's a lot of benefits to this, and then we get into my other slides. So I think that's it. So I'm happy Emily is here in part to answer questions. I know there was other questions that you guys had. I do think
I think it's great. I agree with everybody in the $200,000 increase.
I'd echo John, and I mean, I've never seen so many deer in my life on this island, and I've only been here for 47 years, and they're just everywhere. And I've even noticed the ecology changing, and I think we're in a position to do something, and I'm happy to support it.
Mark, do you have any questions or comments?
One is more of Emily, please. If we're processing outside in the tent, I'm assuming you're gonna have to look into some specifications for washing down area where that blood is gonna run to. So it's not really a question. I'm just making sure that you're on top of that, because we'd hate to have the health department come in and say, hey, that can't go down the drain.
Absolutely, Mark. We are actually working very closely with the health department on all steps of this processing plan.
Okay, and in terms of hiring these people, this person is really going to be a day job and seasonal. So I don't see it. We may possibly be hiring someone from the Cape and they commute over for a 6-hour day and then leave. Anyway, I hope we're open to that. If we don't find someone local, someone might travel, and we'll put him up for the night, and he'll get in 48 hours of butchering at the height of it. So, and then lastly, and the only thing is, I'm also in agreement with John, upping that budget so you don't have to come back for us.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Tom?
Can I comment?
Yes, right.
I'm very much opposed to the whole idea of encouraging hunting on our properties, particularly with this extra program that's coming up. So anyone with a hunting license in Massachusetts can come to Nantucket and shoot our deer. Based on prior experience, When we did this a number of years ago, it was a disaster, a total disaster in terms of, what went on. Second, in terms of what we're trying to do here as far as processing deer and so on, for me as a non-hunter who can't understand how someone could actually point a gun at a deer and kill the poor thing, that's a strictly personal place where I'm coming from. But the idea of processing the results of the hunt, and particularly to feed the hungry on Nantucket or whatever, it just seems the antithesis of conservation, at least in my mind. First of all, during hunting season, I can't go out and walk the properties because there are hunters out there with guns and so on. And I think that anything that encourages people to bring their guns over to Nantucket is not a good idea. So again, that's my 2 cents worth.
I'd like to add my 2 cents worth. I had 13 deer in my yard during the storm. And, I got an acre of land. So add that up, there's a hell of a lot of deer in this island. We have to do something about it. They're starving.
I think that we can get into a debate that we've had a few times, and I think that we can all respect each other's opinion.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And,
I say that
so-
just because that's where I'm coming from.
So,
Can I just clarify? I don't think anyone can come here and just get a deer damage permit. Right? It has to be licensed through the land bank. The land bank would obviously go locally, and I would very much doubt that they would need to go any further. And I don't think I'd support that. But locally, people who know the island respect the properties, and
so we'll make sure that we get clarification on that,
Yeah.
so that we have that. But I think right now we're focusing just on the processor. The rest is to come, and I know Eleanor has a comment, and then I want to allow.
I love the fact that you can additionally, we've been talking about the poultry processing MPPU thing for a while, and I just want to say as a comment, positive, that if that's an additional benefit of this, if that can be done with a lot of, I don't know what the additional expense and logistics are of that. That's something to be discussed, but I think that's a huge, asset to this program if we can also do that. I know that's been a goal for many people who want to encourage locally sourced healthy food. So, yeah.
And I just wanted to see if the public had any comments.
Yes, Mike Negan here. I was at the last meeting that we had on the land bank maintenance. It was very well presented, and thank God somebody's actually putting this issue front. Commend all of you for doing this. I have talked to the Commissioner of Conservation Foundation, and he is willing to work with you hand in hand, whatever you need. But the processing is gonna be the issue of this whole thing. Trying to find somebody that this Board of Health will allow this to continue. Because last year was the first year that we could actually donate our deer. And it was going good, and the health department shut it down because of concerns. And then actually Martin took some deer off island to the processor in Mashpee and had it done. Now I have reached out to Sonny, and if he couldn't find a processing facility here and that week you needed something, I asked him to donate a 45-foot refrigerated container trailer. The only thing is that it would have to be somebody that would weigh and drop off the deer. But he hasn't gotten back to me yet. He was checking with his boss. I told him we need it for a week. And he thought it was, he could do it. So he dropped off Sunday morning before deer season, kept that temperature of 35 degrees. And then when they donated it, they could throw the deer in, and at the end of the week, Sunday or whatever, package it up, put it on a boat, and if you have to have an area off island where they could bring it to, or they can meet them over at Sun and unload the things and do what they have to do. But I think the biggest prize the whole thing with the Board of Health and processing is gonna be a huge, huge issue.
Yeah, so I think that that's really, Emily's done a lot of work on that, and that's exactly what we're trying to address. So, all we can do is try and keep our, I think we put a lot of effort in trying to cross all our Ts and dot our Is, and we appreciate the hunters participating and trying to get this project and idea off the ground. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And anything else I can do, you can just call and I'd be willing to help.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, Emily, with the Board of Health, I mean, I've dealt with them on other issues, including MPPU, and I understand they've always got reservations about things, but given that the tick population it's incredible population of tick-borne diseases, is that something that would kind of enhance our chances of getting this approved by the Board of Health? The trade-off of,
Well, if I may, the Board of Health needs to permit any commercial kitchen space, and they have their rules for doing that. So I think they're separate, but, yeah, any reduction in the deer to a certain level could beneficially impact the transmission of tick-borne diseases.
So, I believe we need a motion on the floor. John?
I moved, but are we talking about the money? I'd move that we increase the budget $200,000.
Okay, so all those in favor of a budget for $200,000 to work towards the processing facility?
We have to do my name, right?
Yes.
Because-
Oh, yeah, because we have Mark, sorry. John? Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Alan?
No,
Christina, aye.
Thank you very much. And we'd like to advertise the position, so that would be another thing we'd like you to vote on.
A motion to advertise the position.
Make a motion.
Second.
John?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Alan?
nay.
Christina, aye.
Thank you so much. This is exciting.
I would just like to say an amazing job, especially Emily, from an idea that came out about 2 months ago to advertising for a position. Hopefully it's all gonna turn out, and we hope that, we're all rooting for it. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it comes out.
I particularly like how the state has been so unbelievably helpful. It's not a sentence you normally associate with the state bureaucracy, but this guy changed my leads.
Okay, great.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I particularly like the speaker from the audience about that. If we do get bogged down in red tape and all, that idea of a cooler truck coming over and taking some over to, I believe you said it was the Mashpee processing plant. Anyway, I would hope that we would support that as well financially if we are running behind.
Yes. Thank you.
Anytime.
Okay, we're moving on to property management, and we're gonna go into 7 and 9 Sanctity Road, Field of Dreams, and I am going to recuse myself from the room. I'll let Rachel take it on.
Do you want to run?
Rachel, do you want to run it, or do you want?
I can run it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will, I don't know that I need to, tell me if you need an update on the Field of Dreams. I can share okay, everyone knows what the Field of Dreams looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to talk then. Basically, we have a situation where on the eastern side of the Field of Dreams, which is co-owned by the Land Bank and Sconset Trust, there's a hedgerow functionally of bamboo. Because the Land Bank traditionally adheres to, more native species plantings and eliminating invasive species, we explored the idea of removing the bamboo and are working with the Sconset Trust on that. When the price came back to be as high as it was, we recognized that it was probably something we needed to bring to the commission. It is, I think there's pros for it and the cost is high. So the pro is really, again, adhering to that native species ethos that we believe in at the land bank. But the cost is a lot to change the hedgerow when we have an existing hedgerow. We really need to make sure that we're screening those properties. It will basically take out all separation from the neighbors. So we'll have the whole thing. Most of the expense is in the excavation and removal of the Vanderbilt root mass, which is what we've found to be the most useful way to treat these species. And that's close to $40,000. So we're here to ask tonight if this is something the commission wants us to pursue. Again, the estimate total is around $80,000. And we'd split it with Wisconsin Trust.
I think it's a huge amount of money for little bamboo, but it may be what it is. I mean,
What happened, I know that on Malika Road, we put in barriers that you just contained it so it couldn't spread. I'd be far more in favor of that than dumping 80 grand into. I mean, and it's I mean, if we're gonna spend that kind of money, I probably need to go out and walk and have a look. And I'm not gonna support it, for that, but I would be interested, the barriers they put in out on the,
Bamboo forest, yeah.
Bamboo forest.
do you have any idea what it costs us to do a place in the Malika Road?
I don't, part of the reason is the barrier itself is not costly, right? We could probably do that with relatively little expense. It's the removal, which I don't think we'd have to do out there. We would just put in a barrier and basically draw a line in the sand and say, this is where it's gonna stop. And it's the same thing that we did actually at Creeks Preserve to stop the knotweed. We put in a barrier. But again, the expense was not in the barrier. The expense was in the removal of the knotweed.
Who wants this?
It was sort of staff at both the Wisconsin Trust and the Land Bank. This is a really typical type of project we would do. It just came back as more expensive than we were anticipating. So it's not outside the line of sort of traditional Land Bank project.
I would prefer to have it tabled to,
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to look at it.
or we dump 80 grand into something that maybe a $2,000 fix.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what we did on Connecticut Road was very effective. And however they did, but that was our own staff that managed to do that. And it did keep it from spreading. So it would be a shame to go and have to bulldoze the whole thing and dig up all the ground and get all the roots and stuff like that. So.
Right. Okay. Mark, do you have any comments?
Yes, please. Having been a sconsitor, I actually find it rather attractive, and I'm not sure we would go after it at the tune of $80,000 and then put in what, privet hedge? I mean, we'll want some kind of shielding. So I say let it be. I understand that in our act, we're after removing invasive species, but it doesn't mean it has to be at the top of our list.
Okay. So with that, would anyone like to make a motion to table it, or would you like to just?
Make a motion to table it.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All in
Aye.
favor? John?
Aye.
John, Neil, Mark, Ellen, aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, that'd be great. Lenore, would you like to talk about vertex? As soon as Christina comes back.
Down and dirty. So the next item on the agenda, Christine's back, is the request for the approval of the contract that we brought to your attention at the last meeting, and then authorization for Rachel to sign contract documents to issue a contract to Vertex for owner's project management services to manage the project moving the 5 of the 6 dwellings at 41 Jefferson.
Okay, so do we have any
Make a
questions?
motion to approve.
Any questions? A second, do you have a second? Okay. Any questions on the execution of the contract?
I'd just like to thank Eleanor for taking this as far, and I'm happy to volunteer John for this job.
But
It's really not as painful as Neil makes it out to be, but Eleanor does do an excellent job.
That's because Eleanor does an excellent job.
Oh, Mark, yeah, we
Yeah,
talked about Mark.
well, maybe we'll.
So the next stage, Mark, will be the request for qualifications for design services for this, design and engineering services for this project. And you might have remember, we recently did this for the maintenance expansion project. So if you were interested,
So,
Don't be shy, Mark.
remind everyone of the amount for this contract?
yes, the amount for this contract came in at 211,000. Well, actually, wait a minute. $223,931.
Yep.
So the flat fee is 211,931, and then there's out allowance expenses, 10%, 12,000. So
So that-
223,931.
That will be to be the owner's rep throughout the project to the very end.
Right. For us, representing partners.
Yes.
Okay. John, how do you vote? Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Christina, aye. That can be executed.
Thank you very much.
We have regular business, website upgrades.
Okay, I am bringing this back to you, because we are finally moving forward and recommending hiring Temper and Forge to upgrade the land-based website. The cost of the base cost of the website upgrade is $38,000, which doesn't really include any additional messaging, or if we do any sort of branding efforts, that would be outsourced. I was requesting approval to spend up to $50,000 on the website redesign with the goal of having a new site completed by next summer. Depending on how many contractors we end up with, it could go over 50, but we could certainly hold it to 50 and then go from there.
I would just like to say is that website design is very, very expensive, so I would anticipate it to go over, and, if you
This is my
want to,
first website, so
yeah.
should I be
You
thinking
will be
75?
sticker, yes, you will be
Okay.
sticker shock.
So can I have approval to spend up to $75,000 on the website?
second,
Thank you.
Any discussion about website design and reconstruction? John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Christina, aye. And good luck.
Thanks. We survived, Eleanor barely, but we have survived our transition to SharePoint, folks. There have been a number of hiccups along the way for all of us, but we're getting there. So, one step at a time, websites next.
Alan?
Yeah, no, one of the things I find, because I'm out on the properties quite often, and the signs where you can take a picture of it and it'll give you the history of it, or the, whatever details are. I think that's a very positive thing because it's right there and so on. I think the way we mark our properties also with those signs is a good thing. So.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we need to discuss rescheduling the first meeting in November due to a federal holiday.
So basically, we have to discuss rescheduling the first meeting due to a federal holiday.
Do you have a recommendation?
On the 11th,
Wednesday, the 12th.
yeah, we could do Wednesday, the 12th. I think it's really up to the commission and their schedule. Does some other time that week work for people?
No, just doing the next day. I think
Okay.
it's important to honor the 11th.
Yeah, and if we bump it to the following week, then we have back-to-back meetings, so
Yeah.
that's tricky. So the
I make a
12th,
motion, we have it next day.
okay, the 12th,
The 12th, okay, at 4, right, same time?
yes, please.
Okay,
Okay.
all the, John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Christina, aye. Okay, now we're on to long range objectives and an update.
Okay. Let's see, I wanted to update the commission, on a couple things I've been doing. One is that, in an effort to increased collaboration with the land bank. I've been meeting with a number of different organizations, meeting with the DPW and discussing fields. You know, I went to the vineyard last week, actually. And I met with the Martha's Vineyard Land Bank, the director, James Langell, and the affordable housing groups on the vineyard. And so it was really a fantastic day. We sat down and we actually visited a number of different properties, and we sat down and chatted for a while. And I had a follow-up conversation with Mr. Langell, and he's just actually proving to be a really amazing resource. He not only used to work on Nantucket, but he has been engaged in the land bank on the vineyard basically since its inception, pretty much. So, you know, just finding out what the Martha's Vineyard Land Bank Commission was doing and how they're responding and what their pressures are and what their successes have been has been really useful. So I feel like that's a big piece of, you know, us developing objectives is figuring out what everyone else is doing in the world. So, so that was a great day. Good. That's about it for me on that.
We have transfer business.
We do have a transfer business. So I have
Make a
two,
motion to accept transfers.
excellent.
Second.
John, how do you vote?
Take those minutes now.
Neil, aye. Mark? How do you
Aye.
vote? Alan?
Aye.
Christina, aye. Now what do you have for us, Mary?
Okay.
Now tell us how we voted on.
Two first-time home buyers, so one signature on the notice of lien, and then this is a release of lien for Elizabeth Giraldi and Daniel Weber. They're about 3 months short of their 5-year requirement. They are planning to list their house on the market, and they both work in the school system. She gave me many reasons of their extenuating circumstances. And as a staff, we voted. Their family is expanding and they're small kind of they've outgrown. Thank you.
Hopefully they're staying on the island.
They are. This is
Oh,
gonna
that's
allow
important.
them to stay on it. Just wanna try to help you.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
There are two sets, September 4th and then also September 23rd, please.
John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
You heard nine, okay. Alan?
Aye.
So that's our minutes, and then we have consent items.
Make a motion to accept the consent items.
Second.
Thank you so much.
Are there any questions on the consent items? Anyone else?
Make the motion. Did you make the motion? for the consent item? You seconded. Thank you very much.
Oh, from the. So,
Oh, got it right here.
I don't have it in front of me.
No, there is no.
Yeah, I didn't-
Okay.
Okay, all those, John, how do you vote? Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Christina, I. So sign that, and then we can do this way. I believe that, do we have any additional questions or comments, concerns from the,
What about this round one?
That's on
that's
consent.
on consent?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Any questions from the commissioners? If there's none, then I'm looking for a motion to, end public session and go into executive session. Do I have my little peek today?
Yes. I'm gonna-
Good night.
Sorry.
Steve.
Okay, we're entering executive session for the following reasons. Purpose to approve executive session. You have real property discussions, like open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the thing. We are gonna not reconvene in executive session. Open session, sorry. John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
And Christina, aye. Okay, we are gonna close out the open session and Mark is gonna have to jump over to the executive session.
Mark, I set up the executive session Zoom not to start until 5:30, so I need to edit that and I will just resend you a link. So give me 1 second to edit it and resend you a link. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks for notifying me of that. I would almost cut you off.
Yeah, no problem. All right, thank you.
Not.